So I was really pleased to see him winning Ireland like he did.
Now we know all about Hamish. The other four have got various questions and queries.
Yes.
We're going to start with Military Academy. His best form thus far has been on the all-weather, but it may just be natural progression. Saw him succeed in the winter.
Actually, they're all queries, but none of them are facts, and they're all in their own way interesting. With him, he's got to prove that he's fully effective on turf. We know he's developed into a very good horse. At the moment, his best form is on the all-weather, but that could be circumstantial. Bolster, we know, is a very good horse. We know he'll handle the ground for sure. We don't know yet whether he's fully effective at a mile and a half. Palladium, we know his German Derby form is excellent. Luke will maybe about his hurdle win at Huntingdon, but we know he's a class act who will handle the conditions. And Gala Shields, who Andre Fabre had and won a listed race, in his own right is an interesting runner. So it's absolutely a superb renewal.
Thank you, James. That was Palladium just rearing up. But they're often racing Hamish, the one a bit asleep in the stalls. He ended up being in the stalls quite some time, but he's away in touch as they head through the first furlong of this 1.5 mile distance for the BetGoodwin Tapster Stakes, uphill and into the bend early on here. Bolster got a good start, Palladium on his outside. So they settle down, these two, just have a look at each other. Palladium in the dark maroon of Lady Bamford and Bolster there in the yellow of Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum. Followed then by Military Academy, who's just gone into third place ahead of Hamish, and the back marker early is Gala Shields. So the runners then at the end of the first 3 furlongs now head downhill towards that dip on the far side of the track. Palladium in front. Palladium from Bolster second, with Military Academy and Hamish close up in fourth, and they're followed by Gala Shields as Palladium continues to take the field along. Right into the heart of the dip now and out the other side of it. Uphill climb, and Palladium leading the way. This the BetGoodwin Tapster Stakes, the second of our listed races this afternoon. Palladium in front from Bolster. Military Academy in the 2 shades of blue. Hamish, the 9-year-old, back in behind him, and alongside Gala Shields, sharing last place now as they head relentlessly uphill, passing the 6th pole, with Palladium out in front. So through halfway then, Palladium led and is 1 length clear of Military Academy in second place, and then Bolster on the inside. Hamish next. He's racing with Gala Shields as the runners now head downhill towards the home straight. Palladium and James Doyle, 4 rivals poised in behind. Bolster next to Military Academy second and third. Hamish is next, and then Gala Shields a neck further back as they all come down the middle of the track, taken there by Palladium. Palladium leads then inside the final 3. Bolster on the far side, Military Academy on this side of the group, and behind those is Hamish trying to play late. Gala Shields coming under a little bit of pressure, now down to the 2 furlong marker. Palladium in front, but it's hard work for him now. 3 challenges for him. Military Academy, Hamish coming there now quite strongly. Bolster's in behind them, and then a beaten horse is Gala Shields inside the final furlong. Hamish has got his 9-year-old head alongside Palladium, who's rallying. Military Academy, what a fantastic finish. 3 of them in line. Hamish just in front as they head towards the line. Hamish, what a superstar. H9 still beats them. Hamish, home again. Military Academy and Palladium more than played their part in a thrilling finish.
13th win for Hamish. He's 9 years old now. Tom Marcan on board. He didn't look like a 9-year-old at the start, Tom.
He didn't feel like it. It's funny, he just has, look, we all know him so well now, but he has his own character and own way of doing things, and bizarrely, saying at 9 years old, that's his first time that he's ever reared with me on his back at the track. So look, he's still pulling new tricks out of the bag, but he's just been a wonderful racehorse. He's obviously a winner of 13 races, which is pretty ridiculous, and but still gives you that beautiful feel as you're warming him up. So yeah, look, job well done by the team, because it's tough to campaign him right with the ground and stuff like that, and then keeping him on the boil long enough to, when you do arrive at the right ground, to have him sort of ship shape. So not an easy mission.
Not at all. Ground dependent as always. That was a really strong list race. You got the German Derby winner back in third. Palladium. Military Academy's fit and well. I felt the steady-ish pace actually probably made your life harder, because he's really had to pick up.
Yeah, 100%. And it kind of felt like the race never really levelled off. Like they were still moving forward at the furlong pole, and whilst he obviously sauntered up behind them, he actually had to go and catch them. It wasn't a case of them falling back to him. So, look, I think a little bit of rustiness and the pace not quite being as strong as ideally it might have been for him. It's probably just made the mission a little bit tougher, but look, as ever, he's got the job done, and that's what good horses do.
Yeah, remarkable horse at 9 years old. Well done.
Thanks.
The apple of Maureen Haggas' eye. Hamish wins for the 13th time from 25 starts. The 9-year-old, he looked anything but 9 down at the start, Maureen, and I understand it's not the first track he's dented this week.
No, he sat on a car the other day. Apparently, I was away for a day, and Tinks rode him, and he was very apologetic the next day that he'd wrapped him around a car on a gate post. But no, 2 cars in 1 week's not a very good record, really.
No, it's not. His winning record is amazing, though. This is the second time he's come to Goodwood, and I remember that he attacked you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever he came. I saw you brought a pony with him.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually help that much,
well,
potentially.
It did when he was moving, but we actually introduced the pony after Goodwood 2 years ago. And he's been pretty good everywhere until today, where he was absolutely appalling out the back again. And the tack fell off about 4 times, and eventually we managed to get it on and keep it on. And once he was moving, he was fine, and he did his normal thing as, when we got 50 yards from the track, then he kicked off. But he was pretty naughty at the start, but he has been crying out for a race for a long time. He needs soft ground. We haven't had any. He's been ready to go since the John Porter, which was the middle of April. So he's just pretty bored now, and he needed a day out.
Yeah, from a trainer's point of view, it's been if you've got a soft ground horse like Hamish, normally you get him ready for the spring, there's always going to be a race early doors. We haven't had that this time around, and obviously he's an exception in the fact that he does get very fresh, but it is tricky to keep these horses 90 to 95% when they've got to be at that level to win at this grade.
Yeah, I mean, he's also not the easiest at home in that he can only go certain places, so you can't even vary his exercise because there's only 2 canters that he will ever go on. He just won't go anywhere else, and so he likes routine, but he has got a little bit bored, and I say he's not the sort you can take for a day out either, because that blows his brains. And so anyway, he's had a race now on ground that's suited, although it was drying out. Ed called this morning and said it was heavy, and they'd had an inch of rain since Friday night, and it was really wet. But by the time I got here this afternoon, he found me and said, "Oh, it's drying out." And I said, "Look, it'll be safe. He's got to run, really. He needed to run."
And while on your list race, it was a strong list race. The German Derby winner back in 3rd, a fit Military Academy in 2nd. He's not far. I know he's 9, but he's not that far off his best still.
No, I mean, his last 2 races last year were really good. He was 2nd to Gladiator in France, and then he won a listed race in Ireland. And our son Sam, he said he ran nearly his best figure in both those 2 races. So he still feels great. I mean, I ride him every day, and he doesn't feel like a 9-year-old. He feels great. I say, just the last 2 weeks, he's, you can see him looking at me saying, "What on earth are we doing this for?" So it's good that he's had a day out to remind him what it's all about.
Well, it's brilliant that hard work's been rewarded, and I look forward to following him for many races to come. Well done.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you, Maureen.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.